Hello, amazing artists. This week we are doing another project on how artists show space in art. They have several techniques. We are going to work on space and layering, foreground, middle ground, and background. We're going to do a simple little painting, drawing, coloring, but you don't have to do my image, and there's a couple other things. You can do any kind of scene you want. You guys are all really creative. It can be aliens, as you'll see. It can be absolutely anything, okay? And so let's get started. These two pictures are examples of different scenes that you could do: an underwater scene or a space scene, but there's lots of other things you could do too. For this project, what you will need is a pencil. You will need watercolors, piece of paper obviously, and colored pencils. And if you don't have colored pencils, you can use crayons. Step number 2 in drawing our landscape is that you need to draw the horizon line on the paper. And as we know, the horizon line is that line where the sky meets the earth. And I'm going to do this, and again, you get to pick what your landscape looks like. And hopefully you can see that. So that is my horizon line. Put the 2 lines in so that we have a foreground here, and maybe this is the middle ground, and so the background would be over here. Then you need to choose your objects, and you need to repeat them at least 3 times. And so as we know, things that are closer to us are larger. So if I choose a tree to draw, and I'm doing this quite simply because it's kind of a cartoony. You can choose any kind of tree. You can do something completely different than me on a different place. So I'm drawing the tree. This one's big because it's close. I'm gonna draw one here, and it's not gonna be as big. Put little, I guess they're little fruits. And then I'm gonna draw one back here, and it's gonna be much smaller. So that helps us show depth. And obviously, I'm drawing my lines dark. You wanna draw yours as light as possible so that you don't have things like this where they overlap. But you can go in and erase them, obviously. So here's my foreground, middle ground, background. Then you need to draw details. You might put animals in them, you might put people in them, whatever you want in your landscape. I think I'm going to do this. So I'm putting my farmers in the front of in the foreground. We'll have some crops over here. And the barn is put in the background. We know that the barn is much bigger than them, but because it's actually farther away in the image, it looks smaller. So then you want to outline your shapes with Sharpie or black marker or black crayon, whatever you're going to use. I have outlined everything with Sharpie to show, to have higher contrast. And so now you can use colored pencils or crayons, and you get to color it in as you wish. You do not need to do what I did. Please make your own design. Add color. You're going to use the watercolors to fill in the larger background areas. I actually use colored pencil on these, but you get to decide. If you want to use colored pencil or crayons on these areas, it's perfectly fine to do so. Just know that it's okay to turn your paper, and see, like in here, it's kind of tough. So you want either a really small brush. My brush is a little bit too big. And you want to go slow and be really careful so that you don't go out of the lines in this case. Sometimes it's great to go out of the lines, but in this one, oh, look, see, and I did that. That's his shirt. I might have to color over that. I am just using printer paper, and I will tell you, watercolor does not work great on printer paper. But I don't have any construction paper, and you don't want to go over it a lot because you will ruin and literally tear a hole in your paper. And I want to connect this a little to what we drew last week when we talked about where the sunlight's coming, because you can do that in your drawing here. So again, my sun's coming from the right. I don't know why I choose the right, but that's what I choose. So like I've already colored in that tree, but look what happens. You can go back in and color over it, right? And then it looks like there's a shadow on the tree. You can see I drew a shadow from the roof. There's shadows here. So even if, you know, when you do like all these different greens, if you don't have 5 different greens, you can use the same pencil and then you just color heavier. So always start out kind of light, and you can always go back over and layer your color. And you could always, if you really wanted to, you could do a second color really light, like I'm putting in a little black here to really make it like a shadow. You could even do that. Don't color like this, color on the side generally. So just a couple little details. You can see I did that on the faces. I probably need more on that one. And I fixed his sweater. And there you have it. And you can see my paper's curling up, and I did it backwards. Please do all your pencil coloring first and do the watercolor last. And there you have it. Have fun.